Welcome to our call today. And I'm Coach Brian Paranis, a workshop we're doing here on safe workout techniques. And I'll be recording this audio as well. Looking forward to going over everything. I've actually been a health coach, a nutrition health coach for the last 8 years. I've owned 2 gyms for about 5, 6. I've been a personal trainer for 10, 15 years. I've actually had an exercise degree way back in 2004. So I've had a lot of conversations throughout the years helping people reach their goals. Now, I absolutely love engagement, so I definitely will encourage you to engage and share as much as possible. So let's jump into a workout technique to go over how we can improve that for safer, effective workouts. All right. Let me unpause it here. There we go. Excellent. So you're sharing the screen. We are all set. So again, chat bot will be open. Looking forward to reviewing this with you. So safe workout techniques. And when I first started off, I started teaching group exercise classes way back in 2001. So workout technique, form, safety in the gym was something that was important, whether it was in class or becoming a personal trainer early on. I was on the floor of the University of Akron's Wellness Center, and I would go and prescribe workout routines to people and show them how to effectively use the machine so they get the most out of it. So this is some of the beginnings of who I am as a fitness, health, a nutrition professional. So on the agenda today, we're going to go over the benefits of exercise and how to recommend what's going to be best for you. We'll go over injury prevention. We're going to go over effective warm-up and cool-down techniques. Now, exercise recommendation. So what we have the benefits of exercise. Obviously, we want some form of controlling your weight, controlling your strength, your functionality, your ability to do things every single day and not have to feel like you slow down with age. We're going to also reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease, any type of health issues like type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndromes, reduce risks of cancers. All sorts of other things might show up here for you. And by exercising, you can help strengthen your body and make sure that it works in your best interest. Now, the American Heart Association recommends 3 different ways to go about getting adequate exercise in. Number 1, 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic exercise. Think of like biking, walking, jogging, going to a class that's like a step class or something. You're out, you're moving and being active. Or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity of aerobic activity. This is where you're actually going to get your heart rate up and you're going to be able to get a lot more impact in that day-to-day workout that you're going to do. Or we have a combination of muscle building activities on 2 or more days in the week. So that's something that we want to do. I always like muscle building is the way I generally talk about it. Muscle strengthening, something that you're pushing and pulling and squatting and picking up with your body to work all your major muscles. I promise you that your 70-year-old self will thank you time and again when it's your turn to age and still remain functioning at that age. You don't want to slow down just because we don't want to get age to be the best of us. Now we have injury prevention, of course. What puts you at risk? Now, there's certainly existing issues. You could be injured. There could be a nagging injury, weakness in your muscle or a tendon. It could cause pain or aches, lack of wanting to move. There's sickness where we just have a cold or something worse. We just have gone through COVID and having that be in your body can really shut you down. We have pain. Pain can cause you a certain amount of lack of desire, lack of motivation, lack of wanting to improve yourself here. Now, could be joints that swell or have pain in them, achy joints. You, again, don't want to move. Movement can sometimes be the best thing for them to help increase blood flow into that area, get it moving again, get some of the joint fluid going. Soreness that won't heal. So if something just continuously sore and achy, that's definitely a signal that your body is not quite where it needs to be at. Next up, we have diabetes being at risk of your actual physical weight. Diabetes is something that goes along, pairs up with food and being overweight. Your sugar levels are out of line, your insulin levels don't respond well, and it causes your body to have the form of diabetes. Obesity has its own risks. A lot of associated illness issues with the body, complications, come from when someone's severely overweight, from what we could call a calorie toxicity. And that's just eating too many calories for too long, more than you need on a day-to-day. Now, being underweight can also cause issues of just being malnourished or not providing your body with adequate amounts of energy to function at its best. So you'd be underweight. This is obviously a little bit less normal, a little more atypical. I do occasionally run across people that are looking to, in a healthy way, gain weight. Now, pushing too hard, like lifting too much, certainly you could strain a muscle, shortness of breath, dizzy, nausea, those things show up as well. So that would be really important for you to do and pay attention about. If you're short of breath, it could be something with your lungs, or it could be your lack of fitness that's showing up for you. Dizziness could be something going with an equilibrium issue in your ears, or there's a lot going on with your sinus and whatnot. Nausea is something that just you want to figure out what's going on. Is it food you're eating? Is it something in the digestion tract? Like, what is causing intensity? If you have too much intensity and you're like with the shortness of breath, you push too hard, or you're going up and down and your body isn't managing the blood very well, like getting it back up and down in your head. We have nausea of just like pushing yourself too hard and throwing up. We don't want to do that. Smoking, cardiovascular health. Obviously, like lungs are not going to be operating to the level or the degree at which they need to. We have high blood pressure. That's something that you need to make sure is under check. If you work too hard, too fast, too soon, that high blood pressure could spike your whole system to have to work way too hard to manage. Choosing wisely. What should you do for exercise? Number one is got to make sure that the body is ready to do the work. Progressive overload over time is how basic strength training 101 works the best. Okay, you don't need to go in and feel like you need to keep up with Arnold Schwarzenegger or something. That's just not a thing. Okay, we just need to do what's right for you. Regularly, when I'm working out with clients, I'm going to make sure that I am when I coach them, I'm going to make sure that they're doing an appropriate amount of activity in relation to where they're at. So I'm not just going to have them do double the amount of activity or go to the gym and do all the squats they haven't done. That's not going to work out very well for them. Now we have exercise programs should be customized to the individual whenever possible to account for any limitations and ongoing medical conditions. Do what feels good to your body. right? We need to make sure that everything's customized to you as an individual. You can find different healthcare professionals like personal trainers that can help you. You can do a lot of extensive research on your own as well. You get a health coach like me. I've definitely be able to quickly determine what would be appropriate for you and your body. Choose wisely. Get the right type of gear. So certainly shoes, any type of exercise clothing. We want things to fit comfortably, form-fitting usually. Certainly, of course, like t-shirt and we're going to do t-shirt and shorts. Tennis shoes work great. We want to make sure that you also have the right equipment for you, whether it's dumbbells, barbells, bands, body weight, any type of exercise equipment in a class. You want to make sure that you're familiar with and you know how to use appropriately and get the right training for it as well. So understanding the difference, like what is good pain versus bad pain? So good pain could be like DOMS. DOMS is delayed onset muscle soreness. So this occurs when you challenge a muscle with something that it's not used to doing. Like if you haven't done squats in a long time, you do too many, you're gonna feel it. Generally it's about 2 days later, up to 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours when we see DOMS really start to affect the body, everything there. Now, it usually will fade away as your muscles break down from doing activity and then build back up. That's what's happening there. So it's remodeling the muscle and making your body more stronger, more resilient to activity exercise so you can be more effective, efficient, and be able to do things a lot better and stronger. So it will go away in a few days. Now understand the difference now between bad pain. Now if this is like in a joint or tendon, that could cause more concern and maybe more insight into what you need to focus on, paying attention to improve your situation. So pain in your joints, not muscles such as knee pain, radicular pain that shoots from one end to another, such as down your leg or down your arm. That is a clear signal that things are not operating properly. Cannot push through the workout due to the pain, so you need to stop. Like you need to make sure you have some balance, some managing of your effort energy in that situation. We want to make sure that pain, when it comes on sudden, especially if it's an acute issue like a crack, a pull, or a pop, you need to stop too. I was out trying to play some two-hand football with my son the other day and his buddy and the other dad, and my hamstring started firing up a little bit, so I had to, we ended up moving to basketball, which is a lot more controlled and a lot less likely to get hurt. I'm 41, and although I take care of myself quite a bit, apparently, like sprinting and changing directions quickly, I've not been doing enough of recently, and so even my muscles are like, hey, what are we doing here? Now, if pain doesn't equal both sides, like both arms, then that's a clear signal something might need to be addressed. If it's in one area and not spreading out, such as soreness or like chronic, if this pain is lasting for a while, maybe like a golfer or tennis elbow, that's something that we need to make sure we address and not put off, so to speak. So we warm up and cool down. Vitally important to making sure that your body is moving in a way and being able to perform in a way that you want. So proper warm-up techniques are obviously imperative to making sure that you're ready, your body is ready for the workout. You want to warm up the muscle groups you're going to be doing in that activity and exercise. You do not want to just focus on just showing up and start pushing weight or go straight into a workout or something. That's not the best way to do it. And you can get away with it when you're like high school and like your 20s, but past that, it is very important to make sure that you don't try and get away with it. Adequate warm up gets blood flow going, helps the muscle tissue, the tendons, the ligaments warm up to the activity that's going to be pushing and pulling on them. Generally, like 5 to 10 minutes is always a simple prescription to get the right amount of activity, to get your body prepared for the action that you're going to be doing. Now, we have dynamic stretching. So that's another way to move the body, to loosen it up. Now, I think of this like being like yoga in a sense. You're in and out of motion. You are doing warm-up drills where you're doing high knees or butt kicks or something like that. Those are really good, proper ways to warm you up. So there's a lot of active range of motion through the full range that you're going to be moving your muscles through. And we want to make sure it's the fascia. So lengthens the fascia. It's a connective tissue around the muscle. So think of it as like a second layer of skin. That's what fascia is. And this is a really dense tissue. And if you're not careful, then you are liable to, you're definitely liable to have some sort of an issue happen if you're not careful. So we do want to make sure that your body is warming up. The core temperature of the body warms up. It prepares you for activity, functionality, and for the body to get prepared for the work ahead. So certainly walking, lunges, toe touches, different types of push-ups and squats can really help there as well. Now, proper warm-up techniques, mobility work, develops and increases mobility in the body while increasing heart rate. Now, mobility, I don't think of as just flexibility. Mobility, I think, as moving your body through range of motion. Flexibility is, I think, about lengthening your muscle groups that you're working on. So subtly different things. Mobility before the workout, flexibility after the workout is done best. Spinal rotations, multi-plane lunges, so front lunges, back lunges, side lunges, diagonal lunges. You can do sort of different types of hip openers, hip swings, leg swings, things like that. You could run through like sun salutation for yoga. That is a full body mobility drill that will get you loosened up and prepared for the activity ahead. Now we have proper warm-up techniques, or foam rolling, myofascial release. We've got, we want to do things that help lengthen the body out again. So I'm a big fan of like foam rolling for sure. Doing that to help loosen up the body parts you're going to be exercising really can increase that range of motion just another inch or so that you need it to be. You're going to start on your back, like low back, mid back, upper back. You can do small chunks at a time, like in a 1 foot range, or like say across your whole back. We do legs, quads, hamstrings, the IT band, glutes, calves are really easy. You stay about up to 20 seconds. That could be like 10 rolls, maybe 15 rolls. If there's an injured spot, don't roll directly on it. Roll around it to soften up the muscles that are attached to it. I think of the foam roll as a bigger way to address tightness, and a lacrosse ball as a much more local way in the smaller areas that you might need to loosen things up. And it can get more fine-tuned into the actual depth of the muscle tissue, or even in tight spaces like between your shoulder blades is a good place to do it. Now, proper techniques, the greatest risk of injury comes with changing an exercise program or adding new exercises. So you have to just be careful. Like for me, when I was playing football, I didn't regularly do drills that got my body and muscles warmed and ready to go side to side in different directions. So that would be something I'd want to make sure that I start training on a regular basis to help my body, my process, everything move in the right direction. So these are all obviously important things moving through this. Now, when starting to take a new class and doing a new workout, be sure to understand the modifications and use them as needed to ensure that you're not going to get hurt. You can always modify, do less weight, do less reps, do whatever is best for you to make sure that you don't overdo it. Staying hydrated. I'm drinking coffee right now. I do have water with me too. I usually drink out of a 40-ounce container. I fill that 40-ounce container roughly 3 times in a day. Works really well to keep me hydrated. Now, your body loses water when you sweat, right? I personally am not a big fan of sweating, and the only reason is that I don't want like sweaty, soaking wet clothes. So I'll definitely just not move. I will keep my body cool while working out hard. So there's a giant fan that I can use. I can turn down the temperature in the room to make it not so hot. I believe, just especially for me, is if I work a lot, then I end up needing to drink more water if I sweat more. So shoot 7 to 10 ounces of every 10 to 20 minutes during exercise to stay hydrated and during your workouts. Obviously want to drink water instead of like sports drinks and stuff, things especially with calories. Only want to drink things with calories if and when you are actually doing like an hour plus of intensity. That's a good time to have what we call intra workout fueling and hydration strategies. Pay attention to signs of dehydration. Thirst, your urine is darker in color, you're tired, there's a headache. Those are signs that you are not well prepared for the workout. All right, next up we have is mixing it up. It's important to show that you vary your workouts so you don't overwork specific muscle groups. The variety of different muscle groups to prevent boredom. So we want to make sure that you do different things regularly so that it's fun. You give your body a little different challenges. You can recover different muscle groups. For me right now, I'm in a rotation of doing I'm doing a chest, back, shoulder, leg days, and that works out really well for me to manage this and keep my body exercising without having to slow down or take extended rest times. So yesterday was a back day, and that works out pretty well for me. Varying your workouts. Also avoid delays reaching a plateau. So there's always subtle improvements of things you can be working on, whether it's form, technique, performance, strength gains, weight, mood, volume done. Lots of ways to adjust in your workouts. Now, we have a cool down. So just as important of the warm-up, the cool down brings your body back down to a normal level. So we want to make sure that we are paying attention to allowing the body to process things in a good manner. We want to make sure that your body isn't just like flooded with lactic acid and having to have the muscles just not flush out any of the muscle waste that you did, and maybe work into making sure that your new blood gets into the muscles as is. So if you stop too fast, there have been people who've passed out or feel really sick. And that's not fun. You always want exercise to be linked with something fun, exciting, and engaging for you. We stretch your muscles, you work out. So we want to work on flexibility right now. So that'll help lengthen you out. So ways to do that, obviously walking, jogging, doing active stretches, holding them for 20 or 30 seconds. We're not interested in bouncing. We're just going to reach and stretch. We want to make sure we're breathing. Usually we breathe in and then we exhale when we go into stretch. So if I'm like going to bend over or like if my foot's up, I'm reaching out and deep breath in and I'm going to exhale. I'm going to lean forward. And then I'm going to deep breath in when I come back up and I'm going to exhale and lean forward and stretching my hamstring again. So we want to breathe. Your body runs like a machine. So we do need to rest. It can't just always be on. There's like maintenance modes that it needs to go into to rest, to relax, to bring down to baseline and do the recovery process. Your muscle grows when you are at rest. Your muscle grows when you give it time in between exercise routines and stuff. So that's why I like 2, possibly 3. If you're really good and love working out, 4-ish, maybe 5, depending on what you do and what works best for you. Take 1 rest day per week off your normal routine, okay? So what we want to do with that is just make sure you have at least 1 day. I always say the busiest day in your week is going to be the best day to be able to manage recovering. An active rest day can include something like a walk, yoga, a bike ride, a hike, things like that. You should also take a day off if your body feels sore, exhausted, or in physical pain. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're not like actively like hurting ourselves at all. All right, so injury, what to do if you get hurt? Rest, ice, compression, elevation is just a classic age-old way to recover the body. Rest most importantly, and there's different thoughts on this. So this is just the most simple one. We do want to do some form of active monitoring to an injury, like go see a professional. I'm a big fan of going to an actual person that does manual manipulation, that is like a PT that has a lot of understanding of the body, the biomechanics, the kinesthetics of the body and how it operates so that you can get back to moving in. Oftentimes, if you go to the right person, they're going to have you back up and moving in a day or 3. If you go to another person, they might just tell you to rest for 2 weeks. And yeah, that can work, but I think in certain situations, that's not the best form of resting your body. Now rest. So avoid using the injured area until your doctor clears you. Be aware of bad pain once you reinduce movement. We want to make sure that you don't injure that area again. That's not good. We don't want to do that. Icing, ice 15 to 20 minutes after. You could do ice packs or ice cupping, is where you take a Dixie cup and you roll the ice on the skin in a circular motion. It's called like an ice massage. Certainly to help protect your skin, you can cover it with a towel or sorts and then reapply a couple times a day, like 4 times a day. After 48 hours that you can put heat on it. And if you're going to move, you can heat before and ice after. That's a great prescription to manage your body that way. Now, wrapping the injured area in an ACE bandage. The bandage shouldn't be so tight that it's actually cutting off circulation. That's not great. We just want it to be supportive in nature so that it feels better as you go. Now, elevating the injured area up above your heart helps to manage swelling, edema type situations where the blood could pool in an area or the liquid in your body can pull in an area that we don't want it to show up in. Now get checked out. Go to the doctor. Listen to their recommendations. Get x-rays if needed. If your body allows, take an anti-inflammatory like an NSAID. That'll help bring the swelling down, help get your body back in check and on track that way. So go to a trained professional that can help you. There's lots of different ways to find them online that are qualified that will actually help you reach your goals. Okay. Now, safety tips. We have a starting position, stand shoulder width, stance apart, toes out 30 degrees, feet flat on the floor. The movement, we want to push knees slightly out as you bend them, and then you can be able to go over. We don't want to go over your toes. We want the knees to be like over the toes, but not forward in front of them. We want to be the shins at an incline, more straight type positioning. Hips go way back and down, and then they go forward up. So we want to squat down and use the hips to get right back up. We have a natural lower back, natural curvature, or we want to make sure that the back is straight in line with the body. Now, abs pulling away from the thighs. We want to push your heels down as you stand as well. So now lunges, if we're going to do lunges, we're going to start in a stand-up position. Certainly you could do, if you're experienced, you could have a barbell on your back. If you're not, it's way easier just to do dumbbells. So you're going to have your body upright, chest tall, back straight, abs tight, and when we step forward, I'm a big fan of stepping backwards, but we can step forward too. There's lots of ways to go about doing lunges. We want to make sure that the knees go in a 90-degree bend. The knee is mainly over the heel of your front toe, and we stand back up to straight when we go through. So we keep our heels and our weight as we push. And speaking of push, we have push-ups. So starting position is in a high plank position where our hands are roughly like just fingers pointing in front of you over your shoulders. And so your abs are tight, your butt's tight, your quads are tight, you're standing in a straight line on the ground. We begin to lower, slowly lowering down, strong press up, back to arms straight. Now you want to have your neck in a neutral position, or the fingers, eyeballs are looking down, or maybe subtly forward. Push back to keeping your abs tight so you don't arch your back. Now we can modify this by going to your knees. We can modify it by going to like a couch arm and doing an incline. I personally, being the personal trainer, I like it when people who can't do regular push-ups do incline push-ups first, because you still practice the push-up form. If you go to your knees, you break in your leg, and you're not necessarily working that positioning and muscles and progress. Now we have planks. Planks can go on our hands, on our elbows. With planks, we want to plant the hands under the shoulders, slightly wider than shoulders width. And just like we're doing a push-up, you're going to ground the toes into the floor and squeeze your glutes, your butt to stabilize the body. We want to squeeze our quads. We want neck in a neutral position by looking at a spot just a foot or two beyond your hands. That'll keep your head and spine in line. The movement, hold on as long as you can, working up to a minute, as long as you don't compromise your form or breath. You modify this by going to your knees, of course, or doing an inclined plank. If we're rowing, we're going to be in a starting position with the arms extended, pull back until the torso is at 90 degrees from your legs. Your back should be arched, chest up and lifted. You should feel a nice stretch in your lats as you hold the bar. The stretch is so important in this process. We're keeping the torso stationary. Pull the handles toward your back while keeping everything upright. Breathe out as you perform that movement. Glide your shoulder blades down and back as you squeeze the back muscles. And we want to hold that contraction for a second and then slowly go back. Now, the reason why we want to go slow is we have eccentric and concentric motion. So concentric is like you're flexing the bicep. Eccentric is lowering the weight back down. That eccentric phase is where you can get the most stretch, most strain, most impact on your muscle itself. So, I'm excited to talk to you about safe workout and techniques and strategies. I hope that you use progression over time. You learn as you go. You attach positive excitement to the movements, the exercise, the activities you're doing. You really just want to keep being physically active for as long as you can go in your life. So I want to thank you for joining me today. I'm really excited for everything for my audience and showing up. So thank you so much.